It's time to start your engines and be part of the conversation. You can always ask the experts, Raffi and Dan Rosenberg, because it's now time for Clutch Radio. The show starts now.
Now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a hot Saturday morning here on the in the Pacific Northwest. It's June 26, 2021. It's 10 a.m. here. It's whatever time it is there. Welcome to the show. And all I can say is, boy, it is hot out.
Oh, yeah. It's hot.
We're going to hit one of the hottest stretches in Seattle history. And last night on the weekly little social hour show we do, one of the guys, Dave, who's one of our regulars, maybe talk a little bit about air conditioning tomorrow. And I thought, you know what? There is a lot to talk about air conditioning.
Oh,
and you and I talked a little bit about air conditioning yesterday because the car that Ray and I have been discussing, we wanted to talk about that, which that'll come up later in the show too. But, you know, air conditioning is an essential in almost all cars now. And it's almost standard. It's very rare you find a car without air conditioning.
Right. And part of the reason why is because modern automobiles now seal up pretty tight. They are amazing, almost hermetically sealed chambers. And with the HEPA filter systems built into the ventilation system, and tight window lines and tight gaskets. It's not like your old Pontiac or Buick where you can open that little vent window and lots of air and lots of stuff would come through and fumes and everything. Nowadays, the chambers are pretty tight. The cabin areas are pretty tight. So even under moderate climate conditions, you're going to need to get air moving around inside that vehicle.
Yeah, and I remember my dad used to always say we had 455 air in one of our cars because you put the four windows down and go 55 miles an hour.
There you go. We had 255 in some of our two-door or two-window cars.
And the other thing that's really fun, you're talking about cars being sealed up. John DeLorean, who you wouldn't think you'd have a funny quote of John DeLorean's, but in his book, I think you can see it from the 35th floor or something like that. It's about his time at General Motors, or whatever the executive floor is. He wrote a story about how BMW, I think, was the one that used to do a thing called the cat test. And this is cruel, but let me get through it. That to make sure the car was properly sealed, they would put a cat in the car at night. And if they came back in the morning and the cat was still alive, they knew there was an air leak somewhere in the cabin.
That's terrible.
Yes. And General Motors would do the same thing. They would put a cat in and they would close the car off and they come back the next day and the cat was gone. That's how unsealed their cars were. Because the cat found a way out.
Oh, that's terrible. I don't know why, but if you did it to a mouse or a rat, that would almost be okay. But I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of animal testing for anything.
Correct.
And certainly not animal testing for automobiles. My goodness, there's lots of ways you can solve problems for the automobile without killing an innocent cat. I hope that's apocryphal and not true.
Well, I'm guessing that maybe it was a rat or a mouse or something that they used, and they saw that if the air would, if they could suck the air out and no air could leak in, then the rat would die.
Yeah.
Or it would live. And he made it a cat because it is funnier, because a mouse could find its way out of a car probably.
Oh, yeah.
A cat, not so much.
Mice can find their way out of anything pretty much.
Yeah, we saw one sneak into our garage the other night, and we're like, okay, where is it?
Oh, exactly.
So,
those, speaking of garages for automobiles, there is a little ultrasonic broadcast system that you can get. You plug it into the outlets, and that will keep mice out of your garage.
Oh, interesting.
It does work. I thought I'm not sure if that's going to necessarily work. And I looked at it and I thought, well, it's only $20. Let me give it a try. I plugged it in and sure enough, no mice ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just plays some song that they're really annoyed by. It's like it plays the Macarena and they just have to sit there and their version of the Macarena and they go, I can't go in there.
Yeah,
Not my scene, man.
not my scene.
So car air conditioning, this will go, to the history that you know. I mean, I would say it was in the 60s maybe when they first started putting air conditioning in cars.
Well, it's air conditioning has been around for a while for automobiles, but more commercially available or regularly available would have been in I'm going to say the mid to late 50s, and regularly available as an option into the 60s. You know, the challenge with air conditioning in an automobile, first off, to get it in a car in the 60s was quite expensive, $450, $500 sometimes, because there was a lot involved in getting that mechanical system to work. They worked pretty well. The leaders of automotive air conditioning were General Motors. Their air conditioning systems were so good that in the 70s, Rolls-Royce came to them and they said, please supply air conditioning to our cars because we're selling so many Rolls-Royces to people in the Middle East, and they're complaining that they don't have good air conditioning. So General Motors, whose subsidiary was Frigidaire, darn good at air conditioning, they outfitted all Rolls-Royces with General Motors air conditioning.
Oh, see, now Frigidaire to me growing up, that was what my grandmother called her refrigerator. Like
Yes,
I thought that was Yiddish for refrigerator. Frigidaire.
that was actually a brand, a refrigerator brand. And modern refrigerant, however, was, and I believe, and I've actually spoken on this from an industrial design history perspective, modern refrigeration was one of the most important advances for mankind, because you could transport food and medicine to all sorts of places once you could refrigerate large train cars and trucks and things like that. And refrigerant just literally changed everything about the dynamics and geography and population disbursement in the United States. Unfortunately, it was also one of the most devastating things for our climate. So when modern refrigerant was changed over to the R134A chemical, which is used in modern air conditioning refrigerant, and you can convert your older car to that. And I recommend that for people who are repairing their air conditioning systems on a 60s or 70s car, to get that conversion done. That's far less damaging to the ozone in our environment. But in the 60s and 70s, modern air conditioning changed also the dynamic of family travel, because now you could travel in your vehicle to lots of different places. And in contemporary times, as in today, an air-conditioned vehicle now is a point of actual life-saving, because people who live in homes or in apartments or condos that might not have air conditioning, that experience things like this heat dome, they can seek refuge in their car.
Yeah.
Because the car is air conditioned. And as you said, almost all cars come with air conditioning now, standard.
Yeah. And it was the R12 was the old one. And I'm not sure the exact year. I know the Cadillac that we're dealing with right now, which we're going to talk about later in the show, has the old refrigerant, I believe. I don't see a sticker on it saying that it's been upgraded to the 134A. Usually they put a sticker on it. Right. I remember how expensive when they did the switch over, because my dad had an auto parts store, and R12 was like crazy expensive. Yeah. Like, and you had to have a special license. There's all kinds of crazy stuff to get R12. But when R134A came out, couldn't they come up with a better name?
I know.
When it came out,
call it Dave.
Yeah. When Dave came out, it was cheaper. And now for $50, you can get like a big, like a can about, a foot high with a tube on it, and you hook it up to your car now, and you can do it yourself. I mean, they've actually made systems that are easy, but of course, if you have a leak, you have to figure out where the leak's coming from. Why is it leaking? Yep. And one of my biggest memories was in my mom's 79 Pontiac Bonneville, which was the first car I drove. On a hot day, I had to decide if I wanted to use the air conditioning, because the gas mileage was so much worse if I used the air conditioning. At least that's what my parents convinced me of. I still believe it. But it was so much worse that it was like, okay, I got to keep the windows down. And I'm like, it's just too hot. I'm going to put the windows up, put the air on for 5 minutes just to cool everything off. And then I'll drop the windows again.
Well, just to not to discredit your mom, because our parents are always right, regardless of the circumstances. In an older car like that Pontiac Bonneville, the air conditioning does draw from the pulley system on the motor, and that does cause the engine to work a little bit harder, consume a little bit more fuel. However, it's not substantially less or substantial loss in miles per gallon. What oftentimes happens, especially as you drive on the highway, if you put the windows down, you've now created a greater amount of drag in the aerodynamics of the vehicle.
That's what I used to say.
And it causes the car to slow down. So you push the pedal harder, which uses more gas, and that makes the car less efficient. So you're actually better off leaving the windows up, running the air conditioning. And by the way, not running the air conditioning reduces the life of the air conditioning unit.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
Absolutely. I know many people that have air conditioning in their car, and they have, moderate climate, so they hardly ever turn it on. And I always tell them, just turn it on once in a while, keep it going. You can set the temperature setting to 70, 72, whatever you want, but the air conditioning is on, and that keeps it moving and working. And it's important to keep the systems flowing.
Yeah. It's like our generator. We have a power generator here that hopefully we never need, but every Wednesday at 1:00, it fires up for 20 minutes and exercises a little bit. And, if it didn't do that, when the power went out, if it's been sitting for a year, it would be like, and it would probably die.
Exactly. You want, any mechanical system, you want to keep it going. This is including, your physical body. If you don't get up and walk around every once in a while, you're going to get stiff, and you're not going to be able to, and eventually you'll be the big stiff, which is gone. So
yes. Jake, by the way, is on his wife's phone. He left his at home. But he wanted to let us know to come support the I almost said Blackhawk. That's the school I went to. That was my BHS, the Bainbridge High School football program. Get some Skonuts today at Jake. So if you're local here on the Bainbridge Island area, the Skonuts are delicious, and the benefit's a good thing.
Absolutely. And even if you're not local and you're coming off that ferry and you're heading up 305, it's a simple turn off the highway to the Chevron station, and there you are at Jake's, and you're getting fabulous food. You're supporting a great cause. Very, very worthwhile. Get a bag of them and treat the family to wherever you're going from there.
Yes. So, and Jake is not a sponsor. We don't, we just actually like Jake, and we like his food. So
yeah, it's hard not to like Jake after you've eaten his food,
and vice versa.
Even if you don't like Jake and you eat his food, wow, this is really good food.
They always do say, "Don't trust a skinny chef," and because what if he's not eating his own food, but he is a skinny chef you can trust.
He is a skinny chef, but boy, his food is great. But then everybody in his family is skinny.
Yes. So I guess it's just a thing. Anywho, so for air conditioning, we do recommend, obviously, get it checked, before it gets really hot like this, because I may spend some time in my car today just to get some AC, to go kind of to cool it off. Because our planning is always perfect here at my household. We have an air conditioner finally after 11 years being installed in a week and a half. So we have the potential hottest day in Seattle history coming up on Monday.
Yep.
And a week later we'll have air conditioning, which means it'll cool off forever, because we got the generator who's had a power outage since.
It's like if you wash your car, it rains the next day.
Yes. So I've decided to never wash my car and disconnect our air conditioner forever. Anyway.
So just one last subject thing to touch on with air conditioning. If you have an older car and you have not had your air conditioning serviced in a while, get it serviced. This is also a good thing to do. The chemical that is used to keep the air conditioning blowing cold, if you run low on it, the system actually does struggle a little bit more than if you fully charge it up. Some compressors require a little bit of maintenance, and that's always good to do. But it's a good idea to have your air conditioning system inspected. What they'll do is they'll run dye over the main hoses, and they'll run the system, and they'll check to see, even if there are small or microscopic leaks, they'll be able to detect it, and then they can replace those hoses. It's a good idea to do frequently. Under the hood in your car, you want to make sure that those hoses, especially if you live in a dry, dusty area, that those hoses are nice and supple, that they haven't dried out, because dried hoses will crack more easily, especially when you go over bumps and there's lots of movement in the engine. Those will start to open and close, and that's what causes those micro leaks. So having your air conditioning system inspected, it's pretty inexpensive. As Dan said, a charge. You can actually go to any of these qualified service stations and have them do a system check for you. I think for $59 or $69, pull a coupon off the internet, save a little bit of money, 10% sometimes. But it's a good thing to do, especially into these hot summer months. And also, once again, if you are in living in a place where you don't have air conditioning, the car can become a safe place for you to be, especially if you're older and you don't even have to go driving. Just get in the car, turn it on, have it run in the driveway, not in the garage, by the way, running in the driveway, and cool off inside your automobile.
Now, 134A, of course, replaced the R12, but 134A is being replaced.
It is.
I didn't even realize that it was supposed to happen last year, but there's a new one, a new kid in town. Do you know the name of the new one?
Dave.
No, it's even worse.
Oh my God.
1234YF.
1234YF.
Yes.
Why the F did they have to make it that long?
It stands for young fuel. I don't know what it stands for, but it's even less harmful for the atmosphere. This one, it totally dissipates in 11 days.
Oh,
it is gone in 11 days.
Okay, good. So it has an 11-day danger life.
Yes. And that's so cars are going to start having that. And I've noticed also cars are starting to have heat pumps instead of air conditioning units.
Yeah.
Especially in electric cars.
Yeah.
That really does help, with the power generation, the battery life. When I had the Kia, and I'll give an update on the Kia and the Polestar as well today. It's a big day, lots of things to update.
Lots of things. There's so many things happening.
So the Kia, and also I remember with the Nissan Leaf we had, if you had the air conditioning on, it would say you had, let's say, 74 miles to go. If you turned the air conditioning off, it would go to 86. And it was such a big difference. Mm-hmm. And in the winter, the same thing with if you have the AC or the HVAC unit at all turned on, if you have the heat on, it was the same thing. So they do things like heated steering wheel, heated seats. That way you can stay warm in the car without you, because that's just electrical. That's not using any of the battery power. That's using the 12-volt battery power. And the new car I have, the Polestar, I turned the air on and I turned it off, and it didn't change. It didn't change how many miles I had to go. Yeah. So I know this one does not have the heat pump. They're putting that in the next one, in the 2022. And the Kia did have a heat pump, which is weird that the Kia would have such a difference in range when the AC was on. And this car, unless it's just lying to me, but from my experience of the 900 miles I've put on the first day, it pretty much does stay pretty close to what it says your mileage is going to be.
That's interesting because I don't know enough about how they're running the heat pump from the Kia. But my guess is that probably the demand cycle for the use of that on the projected range is for the total amount of miles that it collects, sort of in an algorithm of your method of driving or the way you've been driving, and then it projects it that way. You drove the Polestar primarily on the highway. So True. The demand based on the algorithm collected for data that you were feeding it would have been predicated on highway miles, not on combined city stop and go, which has a greater impact on the subsystems on the automobile.
Right. But in the electric, it seems to me, and I could be wrong here, but I get better mileage in the city than I do on the highway, because in the city, there's a lot of braking, which regenerates the battery power. Whereas in the highway, you're just go, 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 go. I have to research a little bit more. I don't know. Consider it's my fourth electric car. I should know more about them. I just like, oh, they're pretty, and I get in them. They go forward.
Fourth electric car? No.
Yeah. It's my fourth electric car.
You get the Tesla?
I had a Tesla, a Leaf, a Kia,
wow,
and
you
the
had the
Polestar.
Leaf. I forgot about the Leaf.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was a short-lived one, though.
Well, I had it, and then I gave it to my mom.
Yeah.
And she drove it for a while, and then she had a little range anxiety with it because, the first generation Leaf did not go that far.
Like 85 to 100
It was
miles?
like 85 on a good day. And that's if you didn't do anything, like no air conditioning, no nothing.
Yeah.
And it had a little solar panel to kind of keep the 12-volt battery charged, which was nice. But yeah, we traded that in pretty quickly and got a Nissan Altima, which got 40 miles to the gallon on the highway.
Right.
I mean, got great highway mileage. And it wasn't even a hybrid.
And a lot of petrochemical fuel vehicles now get fantastic miles per gallon. And there's still a lot of argument over whether or not it's best to have a fuel efficient vehicle that's already been manufactured, or a brand new electric vehicle that has used up a lot of new resources to be manufactured. Over the long haul, especially based on how much you might spend, you're oftentimes better off buying a pre-owned fuel-burning vehicle at, sometimes 60% less the initial purchase cost, because electric cars are still quite expensive to buy, especially brand new. As I told people many times before, you can go pretty far on $25,000 worth of gasoline.
Yes. And, I'm not the person that's going to say, I'm going pure electric, and, you have to go electric, and I'm going to go, Ed Begley Jr. and put a bike in my house, or I'm going to pedal to get enough power to microwave a Pop-Tart. I'm not going to do that. But I have always liked being kind of on the cutting edge of what's new and exciting. And when a lease plan is as good as this was, it was a no-brainer to me. And I got a great couple of days with my son, which was awesome.
Yeah.
We had a nice road trip. But the car is a pretty amazing car. I mean, you saw it yesterday. You rode in it.
Oh, yeah.
We probably will do a show maybe next week or the week after live from. I need a camera mount for the windshield for our phone to do the show. But because the vents are in a weird place, it's interesting. There's a lot of interesting things in this car.
Yes.
But it's an amazing car.
Including the sandwich cooker, which I think is great.
Yeah, there's a sandwich cooker at the top. The glass roof doesn't open, which I'm not sure if they'll make that an option. See, here's what they did here in the United States, just to give, I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but now I have a little more info since I actually have the car. Polestar is just a division of Volvo, who is a division of Geely Automotive, a Chinese conglomerate. And they made these cars, they basically just pre-packaged a whole bunch of cars, built them, and then waited till they had them all here. They shipped them all here. They're at the port, waiting to be sent off to dealers. So being stored at the ports. And then as people order them, they ship them to the dealer, and you can get them pretty quickly. I mean, I ordered mine in 2 weeks from order date to pickup date. It was almost exactly 2 weeks.
That's great.
Yeah. Whereas with Tesla, they build it. They build it as they go, and they have orders. You put money down, and then they build the car for you. This one, they make you feel like you're building your own car, but what they've done is they've limited it to 5 colors. All of them have an upcharge of $1,200, other than black. Might be why I got black. I always get black on black for some reason, and every time I get it, I'm like, why did I do? I should have done silver, or I should have done white. This time, $1,200 more. It was worth sticking with black. They only have 3 interior options: light gray, dark gray, and tan leather. The 2 grays are vegan. There's no animal products. There's no leather. There's not even pleather. I mean, not even fake animals.
And they didn't kill a cat to test whether the ventilation system worked. So that's good.
Right. Well, as in Sweden, they put the IKEA meatballs in the car, and if they get too dried out by the morning, then they're good. I don't know if that means. And then they have the leather edition for $4,000 extra. You can get the tan leather.
$4,000.
$4,000 for Napa leather. And it is so. I mean, the one they had on their showroom floor, it's like butter. I mean, literally, the leather is so soft, but it's heated and cooled, whereas mine are just heated seats.
So if you get a silver Polestar with Napa leather, then you're paying, what is it, another 5,500 more?
5,200 more. And then you can also get an electronic drop-down tow bar. They have like a tow kit that kind of like disappears and then pops out. That was more money. I didn't want that. You can get ski racks put on, or luggage racks. I didn't like that look. And floor mats. You get the rubberized floor mats and storage trunk area thing. And that I did add that. So when I saw the window sticker for my car, it has exactly what I ordered. So it looks like it's a custom order, but the date on it is way before I even knew the Polestar existed. So what they did is they just got a whole bunch of them, brought them to the country, limited the packages, and they call it the launch edition. So these are all the 2021s are the launch editions, not the launcha. And I think if, once they run out of these, and the manager at the space, they don't call it a dealership, they call it a Polestar space. And I said to her, so you're like you're like in the Space Force. And
they got space, they got launch, they got all.
Yes. And she said, yeah, we're starting to get to the point now where people are ordering cars and we have something very similar. So it's like, hey, we can't get you this until September, but if you go with the light gray instead of the dark gray interior, we can have that in 2 weeks, because that's what's sitting. So now they're getting to the point where it's getting to be, slim pickings. So I think what's going to happen is they all have the glass roof. That's not that just comes with it, but it doesn't open.
Yeah,
and it gets hot, and there's no like retractable cover for it. So I think they will have one probably in the 2022 that will be a retractable roof that will have more items available as they customize the cars.
The problem with the retractable roof, and there are many, the first of which is it takes up a lot of space. So headroom gets compromised. The mechanism itself, if it's an electronic mechanism, that's some draw to run that back and forth all the time. If it's something that you're going to use as part of the power system, my guess is that they're going to at the very least, add some sort of manual sheet that can be pulled back to cover it, because it does heat up in there. Now, one thing I will point out is after we went out in the car, we came back and I got into my car. There was a notable difference in the temperature of the inside of the car when I compared the two cars. My car was very warm and it sat in the parking lot, and your car also sat in the parking lot. We were in having lunch for about an hour or so. But when I got into your car, it was not that warm, even though it has a complete open glass roof. I suspect that while we were gone, it may have turned on one of the systems and evacuated some of the air or cooled the car, because it wasn't like 125 degrees when we got in that car.
Well, I do have the setting that I can tell it, when I park for, 30 minutes to stay cool, or however much time, I can have it stay on the entire time. Like if I have my dog with me, I could go in the store and leave the air conditioning running. I didn't realize that, because when we were charging, and I went into Target while we were charging at Target on our drive back, I just rolled the windows down. My son sat in there and he's like, yeah, it's really hot in here. And, we both got pretty sweaty and stinky in there. I could have left the air conditioning on that whole time, even though the car was off, because when you get off, it doesn't have an on-off button. So when you get out of the car, it's off. When you get in the car, it's on. If there's no one in the driver's seat, the car is off, because why would it ever be on?
Right.
But you can set a parking mode where it will do that. I did not have that set the other day, though. So I think that the roof is reflective. I think that it doesn't actually bring in as much. You touch it, it's hot, but I don't think it's bringing in as much heat as you think it's bringing in. But we'll find out. We'll just keep driving and testing. So so we did drive the car back. It's a lovely car. Would I get black on black again? Maybe, maybe not. But I have it for 39 months, and then we'll find out what they come out with next. They have an amazing one coming out that's like a bigger car. It is smaller than we both thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that was the surprise for me when you pulled up in it. Coming into the parking lot, I thought, oh, there's the car. I said, wow, that's pretty much how I thought it would look. But the minute you parked it next to the Jeep that was parked next to you and another car that was looking, all of a sudden it got small.
Yeah.
And the more I studied the car, the more I realized how how cleverly they packaged it, because it's spacious inside, but the footprint on the outside is actually quite small. It's not an SUV. I would have expected it to be more SUV platform like, but really it's a tall sedan because there's quite a bit of room inside. And they use the interior room very effectively, but very tall wheels, 20-inch wheels. That makes the car sit with a wide, low stance. But because it isn't tall like an SUV, it has a pretty small profile.
Yeah, and 19 is your standard. There is another upgrade called the Performance Package, which I did because they're only giving you all-wheel drive right now, so it's dual motor, front and rear motor. For the 20-inch wheels, you get the Brembo brakes.
Brembo
brakes, which are gold colored, and you get the 20-inch wheels, and you get the gold seat belts, which are
cool.
Yeah, they're kind of cool, and it's a little faster. You get a little less range, but even on the regular one, they're saying 233. I was definitely getting more than that. I mean, it was probably close to 250 in the range, and it's got like not an autopilot, but it's got kind of a
it's
pilot assist, they call it.
Lane guidance.
It's lane guidance, and you can just I use it even on the roads here, like on the back roads of Bainbridge Line, because it does anything over 20. So going on a road that's a 30-mile limit, you hit cruise control at 30 or maybe 32, 33, and you hold the wheel, but you don't have to like hold it, really tight. It keeps you on the road. If there's a little curve, it just follows with the road. And the nice thing, I mentioned this to you, is when I'm driving for 12 hours in a day, and my son sees something on the side of the road and goes, "Hey, what is that?" I don't have to be like, "I don't know, I can't look, I'm driving."
Right.
I can actually go, "Oh, that's a 57 Chevy." Or we saw a couple of strange things on the side of the road in Oregon, like some old classic cars, and we saw probably 100 white Ford F-150s, just a big, huge, just it looked like they were growing them. It looked like a field.
That's the state flower in Oregon.
It must be. And I'm guessing that it was like a refurbishing or a retrofitting company that just takes the base model. It might have been U-Haul, and they're just going to throw the trucks on. Who knows? But I wouldn't have seen that, had I been so concentrated on the road. And a couple of times the car slowed down in front of us, and the car starts slowing down. I go, "I'm not doing that." He's like, "What?" I go, "That's not me." The car totally slowed us down. It's pretty amazing technology. I know they have it on other cars already. It's not exclusive to this one. But I recommend, if you're going to get a new car that doesn't have that and it's an option, spring for the option. It's really cool. It makes driving a little more fun.
Yeah, and the one thing that's great about that technology is, of course, as you said, you get a much more relaxed driving experience. You're allowed to participate in conversations a little more effectively. You don't have that tension where your hands on the wheel so tight and all that. One problem though with them is if you get used to driving with those features, and then all of a sudden you move over to drive a 2007 Toyota, you have to reacclimate yourself pretty quickly to the fact that you need to pay attention while you're driving that car. And it's similar to what I used to do when, growing up in the 80s, we had some cars that were from the 30s. And, it wasn't that big a deal to have a 50-year-old car. Just like today, it's not that big deal to have a 1970 something.
Right.
So, but a 30s car, some of them didn't even have hydraulic brakes. So you had to work very, very carefully and steer carefully and pay a lot more attention driving a car from the 30s than you would a car from the 70s or 80s.
Yes. Now, speaking of old cars, we do have a comment in the section, in the comment section, from Bob Vogel. He says, "Hey, Raffi, why did your dad have so many Crossleys?" Well, there's a story here.
Yeah. So that's great. And by the way, hey, Bob, nice to see you again. Bob, growing up in our neighborhood, had a fantastic Mustang, a GT convertible, rare one with a 390. if memory serves me, it was light metallic green with I think parchment white interior, but beautiful car. Bob did a great job fixing that car up. And so the answer to Bob's question is because Crosley's were so darn cheap and they were small. So you buy one, you buy another one, and before you know it, they're like rabbits. You got 5 or 6 of them. And, I don't think we ever paid more than $400, maybe $500 for a Crosley. And they were so easy to work on. And they were great little cars, 4-wheel disc brakes in the late 40s, early 50s. And great on gas. And we had one called a Super Sport, which was the hot shot model with doors and a trunk. That was the big deal that the Super Sport came with. And it was a little 2-seat roadster and a lot of fun driving those cars. So that's why, because they were cheap, they were easy to work on. And I got a parts list from a company that manufactured parts for Crosley's, and you could get every part you needed to rebuild the engine. And you'd go down the list and tick these little boxes to rebuild. And here's this little here's a camshaft for $11. A camshaft, it's new. And you can pick the grind you wanted. You go down to the pistons, $4 each for pistons. So that's why, Bob, because they were so darn cheap, easy to use, easy and great for me to figure out as a kid. I started working on Crosley engines. I was 15, 16 years old. So
our good friend Ray Pepper, we talked last week. We started working a deal. He does have a car of the week that we're going to show in a second. But we started talking a deal about doing a swap out.
Oh, yeah.
My mom's 04 Honda Civic for his 2010 one of 97 Pontiac not Matrix Vibes. The Toyota was the Matrix.
Yeah.
And so was Keanu Reeves. Well, he was in the Matrix. He wasn't the Matrix. But
although, wait, he could be. You don't know.
Oh, that's right. The 4th one's coming out.
Yeah.
So I'm probably maybe going to drive to go check out his car. I don't know if the problem is I don't know if I want to drive my mom's car all the way up because he's like an hour away. If I want to drive all the way up there with my mom's car and then look at that car and be like, I don't know if I want this one. I want to drive it, check it out, and then or do I want to go look at it, maybe say hi to Ray if he's around, and then decide and then go, okay, we'll do the deal. Let's do it next week and let's meet in Silverdale or something like that.
Look at you. You're all like, I have to drive an hour. We used to drive an hour. No problem. You're living in LA. You drive an hour just to have a hamburger.
Well, it's an hour each way. I mean, this is 2 hours on a day like today where it's super hot. Now, I don't know if the air conditioning works in the that's the thing I need Ray to let me know. I mean, what's the AC like in the Pontiac? Does it need to be recharged or is it cold ice, cold as air?
Does Ray have a cat? Have him start the car, put the cat and the cat can report whether or not the AC works. And
Ray, look at Ray. What a good guy. He'll meet me at some point in Silverdale.
There you go.
And Ray, I'll buy you a Starbucks, not a franchise. I'll buy you, a coffee. They don't franchise. That's good.
There you go. You told me about that deal, and if Ray's willing to do that deal, and you like that Pontiac, that's a great deal.
That's a win-win, lose-lose deal right there.
I think so
because I'm getting a little bit newer car for my mom, but it's a black car, so it's gonna be a little hotter. And of course, right now with the heat, it's not good. We did the measurements. It's shorter than my mom's car, so that's good for her parking space at her apartment building. But it's 2 inches wider. Now I know that's not a lot, but she doesn't have a ton of room, so I don't know how big the doors are. See, that's the thing. If the door is shorter, the 2-inch wider car doesn't matter because it's the wingspan of the car that we're worried about when she opens the door. Well, so there's a lot of things to look at.
Yeah.
So we'll keep following this story.
There you go.
And if Ray's willing to drive it to Silverdale, that means the air conditioning is probably pretty good because
there you go.
Yeah, we'll find out. But Ray does have a pretty interesting vehicle that he would like to share as his car of the week, and then we'll do our car of the week, which of course we've talked about a few times. That's what Ray's got going on.
There you go.
Not a bad vehicle. Oh, and then Ray said I can go buy my mom's car back at Stokes auction because that's where he's going to send it. So we could it could be a nonstop thing. I can just buy it back from him. Yeah, and then I can sell it to CarMax. Then he can buy it at CarMax. Yeah, we can keep moving this one car around.
There you go. So looks like Ray's got himself a pre-owned Jeep and looks like it's in pretty good condition. These are fun cars if you've always wanted to own a Jeep. It's good to get a late model one. The early model ones in the 70s and 80s, they can be a little rugged. They're a little rough riding. So if you're young and you want that type of vehicle, that's okay. But as you get older, you're going to want one with a little bit more comfort and conveniences. This looks like it's got what they call the all-weather kit, which covered the entire car. So it would seal up pretty well. And if this car has air conditioning, you'd be okay in the summer.
It does.
heat.
It blows ice cold, says Ray.
There you go. So you'd be in pretty good shape. The cosmetic condition looks great. Wheels and tires look good. Everything here looks like it's quite well put together. The nice thing about these things is most of that stuff that covers the cabin can be fairly quickly and easily removed, and you can stow it in your garage, and off you go. With Jeeps, you want to be careful about what you keep inside them because they are not, nothing inside is going to be theft proof. So you'll be sure to pack everything out. If you park someplace and you leave it open, know that people can take things from inside that Jeep. And it may have also been equipped with one of those pull-out radios where the front fascia can be removed. That's also helpful because oftentimes radios get stolen out of Jeeps. This is a great car for like your second car or a fun car to go adventuring in. You can see that it's got the front
bra.
Yeah, it's got a front bra. That's
Or
great.
a mask. I guess maybe that's a mask now. It's COVID ready.
It's COVID ready, which helps protect the hood of the car from rock chips and stone chips, which oftentimes happens if you're off-roading.
How many miles, Ray? Ray didn't mention the miles.
He also didn't mention the year, but it looks like it's late 90s, maybe early 2000s. And
yeah, it is a stick shift.
Mhm.
He does say in the comments it was a one owner. The gentleman sadly passed away. I'm assuming gentleman, maybe it was a female. Oh no, I thought he said he had original. It had the original tires on it, so the miles can't be too crazy. It is a 99.
99.
Or it could be crazy if it was the original miles. Wait, with 169,000 miles, it had the original tires.
Wow.
Well, it must have been balder than me and Ray. But he did put brand new rims. From Les Schwab.
With 169,000 miles and the original tires, my guess is this, that there was another set of wheels and tires that were on the car that accumulated 169,000 miles. Then those got removed, and whenever Ray acquired the vehicle, they put those on and said, "Look, here's this vehicle."
I never thought of that.
So, and that's something oftentimes that happens with Jeeps. People will take the wheels and tires off, and so
it had original rims and the skinny old tires on it. So that's why he replaced them with the fatter rims and tires.
Right.
Now we had one when I was working at Felix Chevrolet in Los Angeles. Somebody traded one in that had over 350,000 miles on it.
Yep.
And it looked brand new. And it turned out they were towing it behind their RV for years. And the actual engine, they said it might have 20,000 miles driven.
Right. And that's a common thing. This one too could have been towed behind an RV for many of those miles, because oftentimes that's what happens. And unless you take the time to disconnect the speedometer, which is not easy to do on a modern car, you're going to accumulate miles behind the RV. And certainly fine, no problem there. But it's absolutely true. These vehicles, they're built for durability. They'll do 200,000 miles with no problem. What are you asking for this one, Ray?
Well, here's the interesting thing. First off, Adam in the comments says Jeeps are great, but not the best miles per gallon. Of course not. That's not why you buy them.
That's true. Yeah.
Here's this might be the deal of the century. It really might be. Ray wants $9,000 all inclusive. That's out the door. He'll pay taxes. He'll pay fees. He'll register it for you. Everything. And the way Jeeps are going right now, $9,000 for this is not a bad deal.
That's a really good price. That's a very good price. In fact, this would do very, very well. $9,000. I think you will not struggle to find a buyer at $9,000. This will do very well.
If my mom could drive a stick, no, I'm just joking, Mom. I would not give you this. I would not get this cheap.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun for $9,000.
Yes. And speaking of a lot of fun for $9,000, we have a car that's up for auction. Our little project fun thing that we're doing here,
Yeah.
and here it is: the Cadillac Alante. 3 days and 3 hours to go. It closes Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. 11 bids. We're at $2,300.
Wow.
We have
So
104 people watching it, and it's had 4,000 views.
there you go. And again, Cadillac Alante, these were $60,000 cars when they were brand new. They were absolutely state of the art, top of the line. General Motors Cadillac division did a fantastic job with Pininfarina, the Italian design house, designing and building these cars. Beautiful automobiles. This is a triple black car, which is very rare. Dan did the research and found out there were only 35 made in this year of production in triple black. And this is a car with a removable hardtop, so you can get the enclosed hardtop feel. And it also has a soft top, a black soft top as well. Fantastic car. Air conditioning blows cold, right, Dan?
Sometimes. I mean, this is one that would probably need to be converted if it hasn't been already. 93 was the year that they converted all cars were required to switch to 134A.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure if this, I mean, they might have decided, with the Cadillac like this, like, let's go ahead and do it ahead of time. Because it was available before 93, but it was required.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about Hemmings auctions compared to some of the other auctions that we've talked about, not a lot of comments.
Yeah.
I mean, literally like 4 comments, and one of them's mine, and one of them's yours. I mean, it's like there aren't a lot of there's not a lot of conversation. Whereas, on Bring a Trailer or Cars and Bids, you get a lot more people chatting, well, what about this? What about this? But also then no negative. You don't have people going, oh, what a piece of crap. This thing's, super. Anybody's dumb that pays this much for this car.
Well, I have a theory about the comments, because I did go and look at other Hemmings auctions, and there are a lot more comments. Now, theory is this. There are no comments because people are being very quiet about this car, because right now it's about 50% of market value for a needy Cadillac Alante. So I think what is happening is people are being very quiet, and they're hoping that as the auction comes to a close, without making any noise, they'll be able to make a good buy, because there's a lot more room left in this car. So we're hoping that it's going to sell for more. But this is a great car for somebody who wants to have convertible fun in the summertime, and then during the winter, you just put that hardtop on, and you've got a fantastic, well-sealed automobile that you can drive around and enjoy.
Yes, and because the body is Italian built and it's Pininfarina, it's not, the cat will not escape from this one.
Yes.
One more question in the comments, and then we're going to get to our old school section. Bob again asked a question. What do you know about Resvani Motors? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Saw one the other day. Didn't know anything about it. Looks like an urban assault vehicle.
Yeah. So Resvani is one of the small manufacturers. I'm going to forget the year they did this, but a couple of years ago, they changed the law to allow automotive manufacturing for small, I think under 500 units on an annual basis, which allowed companies like Resvani to make specialized vehicles and sell them. So these are urban assault vehicles. There you go. I think that's either their first projected model, but I don't know that they've completed one yet. I have not kept up on it, but I don't know a lot about the platform and what they've done developing the platform or what they're utilizing here. But this is one of many vehicles like this that you're going to see more and more of. Icon Motors is another one that does a similar one. There's a handful of others, including one small company that uses electric power to make urban type assault vehicles that Bob has mentioned. You can see they've got a couple different models that they're talking about producing. Again, I'm pretty sure most of these are projected designs. I don't think many, if any of them, have been built yet.
I mean, here's a 6x6 military edition, bulletproof, built
Yeah.
for civilians, starting at $259,000.
Right, and there's no point in being an automobile manufacturer these days building a $30,000 car. You're going to build these bespoke vehicles that are 150, 200, 300, $400,000, and hope to attract a handful of folks that may want to buy one. It costs very, very little to do what you're doing right now, which is to spec out the model that you want and trim it out. And so a lot of young people are going to these websites and they're outfitting theirs the way they want it to be. And what they're doing is then they're getting a screenshot, posting it on Instagram and saying, this is how I would order my Rezvani, which does a tremendous amount of boost for the company and tells people that actually have the money that they can go ahead and potentially order one of their own, especially if their 12-year-old son comes running into the living room, Dad, we need to get one of these. And, Dad takes his eye off the stock market for 5 minutes, earns $250,000, comes back to his last portfolio and goes, oh, okay, we just made 250 grand when you were showing it to me. So let's go ahead and buy this.
Yeah, I'm loading it up. I'm going to see what kind of options we have here.
There you go.
Oh, we can do I think red leather for sure in this one.
Oh yeah, you got to get red leather.
Got to get heated seats, the embroidery, two-tone.
Absolutely.
Oh, look, it's like a spine.
There you go. And so again, Bob, what most of these types of companies are is they are digital companies that are looking to get your interest, looking to take your order. And you could probably buy a t-shirt or a ball cap from them and a couple other things, but it would be very surprising to me if they are making these available to you. And if you placed your order today, you had one by Thursday. My guess is they'll tell you that it's custom built, custom order, and it's going to take 6 to 8 months. And I would be careful or cautious about the purchase of something that is yet to be completed because there are lots of ways to lose your money in that circumstance. And history will tell you that. But if you want to just go there, learn about the vehicles, have some fun, outfit the one that you want, see what you end up spending, there's no harm in that. And hopefully they will turn out to be a company that makes, half a dozen to 10 cars a year and you start seeing them on the street. But it is very, very difficult to manufacture automobiles, especially ones of this level of sophistication.
Yeah, and I just built one that's $508,000.
There you go. And see, if you're gonna order that car, they'll probably require a hefty deposit, which they can then go and buy the equipment that they need to put it together. But they'll spend most of your money buying what they need to build the next cars as well. So there you go.
There you go. He says he saw one on the street in Hancock Park.
Okay.
So they have built some.
So they and again, just like Jerry Weigert and his Vector in the 80s and 90s, Jerry would frequently take his prototype out and drive it around various places, park it in various locations so people could see it. Then he would take it back and he would do what Carroll Shelby did, which is he would repaint the prototype different color. And they'll go take it another place and show it. They'd be like, wow, you saw a white one? I saw a red one. Wow, these things must be selling. And it's a great way to do promotion. So they may have built a prototype. They may have built 3 or 4 of them for all we know. But it would surprise me if they built 50, 60, or if you could order one and get one, like I said, within a week or so.
Or also you have to look at, a red one drives into the car wash and a white one comes out of the car wash.
There you go. And now you don't even need to repaint them. You can just wrap them.
Yeah, exactly.
You wrap and unwrap the car and try different things. And especially with the camo wraps and things like you ordered yours, you can change that stuff out, change the wheels and tires, change the trim, and people will believe it's a different car.
Yes. And now it's a very special time. And thanks to our good friend Eric, we have a brand new opening for Old School.
Ah,
Here we go. It's time for old school.
Audio Jungle.
thank you, Eric. That's great. I love it. All right, so we're going old school today, and today we're going to go old school back with, once again, the Volkswagen platform. Only this time, we're going to do it with the Karmann Ghia. The Karmann Ghia was a fantastic idea that Volkswagen decided they were going to do, utilizing the VW Beetle platform, but creating a sporty two-door coupe. So the Karmann Ghia comes from the partnership between Karmann, the German automobile builder, and Ghia, the Italian design studio that designed the vehicle. Now, the Karmann Ghia was really a quite innovative design, but what's important to understand is that the Ghia studios built the Karmann Ghia from a scaled down version of the Chrysler Ghia concept car. Now, Ghia, the designer at Ghia, Savanuzzi, was given the task of scaling down the Chrysler Ghia show car down to this size. And instead of putting the grille in the front, Savanuzzi put sort of a pointed front end to the Karmann, which gave it a unique sporty sort of look and feel. The engine, of course, like the VW Beetle, was located in the back. It was air-cooled, fairly easy, simple cosmetics. And the first ones that they built, though they showed the car in 53 at, I believe, the Paris Auto Show, the first ones were available in 1955. And there on the screen, Dan has pulled up what you can see is one of the Ghia Chrysler show cars. And you can see it looks like a large Karmann Ghia. So Savanuzzi did a great job working with Ghia to scale it down. And the Chrysler product was the result of Virgil Exner, who was Chrysler's VP of Style back then. That was his concept to work with Ghia, creating these concept cars to sort of halo the Chrysler product line. So with the Karmann Ghia, buyers got a fantastic low-slung sporty car with VW reliability and durability. By 1955, these were available commercially. 56, 57, sales started to pick up, but it would be in the 60s when both the convertible, which I believe was launched in 57, the convertible and coupe models were being made, that they would achieve sales figures that were really astonishing for a two-door coupe convertible product like this. In total, by I think the mid to late 70s, they made close to 500,000 of these cars. So there are a lot of them out there still today, even though many of them have rusted away. There's a great support system for parts and equipment. Anything you need mechanically, it's going to be available through VW suppliers. And there are literally hundreds, maybe even thousands now of VW suppliers. So if you're looking for a fun car that is not expensive, not costly to maintain, lots of fun driving, the Karmann Ghia in both coupe and convertible are great, inexpensive models that you can find out there. You'll expect to spend anywhere between I'll say $3,000 to $6,000 for one that needs restoration, and you'll want to buy one that does not have a lot of floor rust and body rust. Buy a solid one. You'll spend a little bit more for one that's complete and in better cosmetic condition, and that might get you into the $8,000 to $10,000 range. And then for a really nice restored convertible, you're going to get up into the 15 to 20, sometimes 25,000, depending on the model and depending on how authentic the restoration is.
And in the TV show Seinfeld,
yes,
Michael Richards' character Kramer, when he moved to LA to try to make it because he was having the yearning, he was driving a blue convertible Karmann Ghia, and I found a picture of one of them. Also, I did find one available. First one I found I found a 72 available on Craigslist right now.
Yep.
$7,000, not a convertible.
Yep. Yeah, and here you can see in the by the 70s, they had put on those large impact bumpers. Many people removed them, and the car looks much better without them. So if you're not going to be driving around on a regular basis, it looks much better without the bumpers on them. But here for $7,000, you get a fun, unique running driving car that you can tinker with, work on. It's got great feel. What I'd like to remind people about is that this car was built in 1955, 56, 57, 58, and basically, for all intents and purposes, it's a Porsche. People laugh at that when I say it, but in 1955, you had a Volkswagen-powered sports car, which was a Porsche. So now, granted, you would have slightly less performance from a stock Karmann Ghia, but you can modify a Karmann Ghia engine to get as much performance as a Porsche of that period. And to me, these are great looking cars. Again, not very expensive, and a lot of support out there to work on them. So that's old school, the Karmann Ghia.
And look at that. It ended the show. Now we haven't done the Stump Raffi section in a while. I see Eric did make us a Stump Raffi thing. And I'm thinking we'll watch that off because I don't have anything to stump you with this week.
Okay.
Although I might, no, this won't be too. You'll get it too quickly. Although I really want to show it, so let's just do a quick segment of Stump Raffi.
Okay.
And now it's time to Stump Raffi.
Nice.
Thank you, Eric. I like that drifter there.
Yes, and he actually used the voiceover I did from this crappy original one.
And now it's time to Stump Raffi.
There you go.
Way better. So I have nothing to stump you with this week. So
nothing to stump. Oh, okay.
I mean, I wish. Well, okay. Let me see. We're going a little over, and we'll have to edit this out of the podcast part because it's a visual. But I'm going to see if I can stump you on one thing real quick.
All right.
Oh yeah, I do have it in my email here. By the way, during the week, if you have any questions of cars, buying, selling, trading, leasing, credit, whatever, by all means, feel free to send us an email, or you can go on our Facebook page. There's a lot of different things you can do. And that's called stalling for time. Now, I'm going to see if I can stump Raffi with that.
Holy cow. That's super close up.
I did zoom in quite a bit. I'll zoom out a little bit each time for a couple of times so we can slowly. I think once I go full zoom, you'll know what it is.
That's it. Oh, wait a minute. Those are louvers on the hood of a Jag, I think. Yeah, it looks like the Jag.
I might have stumped Raffi. Here's a clue I'll give you. We saw this in person not too long ago.
Oh, I know what it is. That's the side of the 58 Oldsmobile.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the context here was really, really hard to catch. Okay, yeah, that's the four. There's venting sections on the trim of a 58 Oldsmobile. That's what that is. Wow, boy, you were really close up on that one.
I know. I had to zoom.
Yeah,
those are the alien backup lights on the car.
Yeah, that's ET's backup lights.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, 1958. Yeah. This thing has more chrome on it than a chrome manufacturer. I don't know. I don't have a good analogy.
It has more chrome on it than a 58 Buick. Yeah, yes. 58 Buick was like king of chrome. There was a ton of chrome on that Buick.
Yes.
Well, I think one of my friends was restoring I think it was a 57 Buick, and he took all the chrome off the car and put it in his truck. And just for kicks, he was taking it over to the chromer, and the chrome shop was quite a ways away. But he stopped at the weigh station just for kicks, and he said, hey, can I weigh this? I'm curious. And the guys were like, sure, let's give it a shot. Well, and he had 700 pounds of chrome.
Wow.
700 pounds.
That's a lot of chrome.
That is a lot of metal.
Yes. And that's the end of our show, everybody. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much for listening. If you're trying to visualize what we're talking about, you can always watch the show live every Saturday morning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And just look for @Radio Show at Clutch Radio Show, not at Radio Show, at Clutch Radio Show. You'll be able to find us in all of those places. And that's about it. So stay warm, get your AC checked.
Stay warm. Stay cool.
Stay cool, I mean. Wow. Is it summer already? How did that happen?
Summer. You're getting heat stroke.
We were talking, we were just talking about, check your heater, make sure your heater works. And now we're going to play the closing, and I will be humming this song for the next 6 hours. Ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Here we go. See you next time. Bye.